I'm a little late getting my Beetlejuice review out, but as the kids say, better late than never. Beetlejuice Beetlejuice.
Beetlejuice Beetlejuice, the sequel to the 36-year-old movie Beetlejuice, hit theaters last week. With sequels like this, far off from the original, there is always a fear that it won't live up to the original movie. But a hope we get a Top Gun Maverick situation where the sequel is just as good as the original. I may be in the minority on this opinion, especially after seeing the IMDb and Rotten Tomatoes, but I didn't like this movie very much. It was extremely flat compared to the original. It lacked the heart and quirkiness the original owned, and frankly, the performances and score was just meh. I think I chuckled maybe twice in this, compared to the first, where I laughed out loud many times, even when I rewatched it recently before seeing the sequel. Something was just off for me here. I'm going to start this review spoiler-free, then head into spoilers near the end. I will give a warning for those who care about spoilers before I go into them, but for now, we're spoiler-free.
You hear that? Spoiler-free.
There were a lot of plot points and character motivations that were just weak, setups with minimal to no payoffs. I'll get into that in the spoiler section. I did think this movie looked like a Beetlejuice movie. The art direction, visual effects, costume, and makeup were top-notch. That's something I will not knock on this film. I do gotta be 100% honest here. Michael Keaton was not as good this go-around. He was low energy. He didn't have the pizzazz that he had in the first one, and like he's 72 years old or something like that. I get it. But compare it to the scene where the Maitlands meet Beetlejuice in the model, and compare that to anything in the new one, and it's miles. It pales in comparison.
Well, I attended Juilliard. I'm a graduate of the Harvard Business School. I travel quite extensively. I lived through the Black Plague, and I had a pretty good time during that. I've seen The Exorcist about 167 times, and it keeps getting funnier every single time I see it. Not to mention the fact that you're talking to a dead guy. Now, what do you think? You think I'm qualified?
Energy-wise, humor-wise, that goes for any scene in the sequel compared to the second. There is nothing I like more in the sequel than the original. I thought all the characters, new and old, were kind of wasted. They weren't around enough for me to care about them, or they made strange choices that made me like them less. And since there's so many plot lines, there's not enough room for all of these characters to actually be developed. Before I go into the spoilers, I want to say give this movie a shot if you like or love the first one. Like I said earlier, I'm in the minority of disliking this movie. But if you kinda like the original or just don't care about it, skip this or wait for streaming or whatever. Now, on to some spoilers. Spoilers ahead for Beetlejuice Beetlejuice.
Hey, turn away if you haven't seen Beetlejuice Beetlejuice, because I'm going to talk in spoilers. Spoilers around ahead.
Don't you hate it when that happens?
I thought the choices made in this movie were kinda weak. It's fine that Lydia is a ghost show host now. She's really, gone into the dead aspect. But they had to hurry up and give Charles Dietz a death because the actor didn't return. Same with the Maitland actors. They found a loophole to leave the house and into the afterlife, I guess, so they're not in it, just mentioned once. It's revealed that Lydia's ex-husband and father to their daughter Astrid died in the Amazon. I didn't have anything against these choices. It's even talked about by Delia that Astrid is treating Lydia like she treated Delia at her age. Giving a little rhyming that works, I suppose. It's also revealed that Beetlejuice was once married to a soul sucker. She poisoned him after their wedding because she feeds on souls to stay young. So, in an act of revenge, he kills her, chops her up, The Shining style. Now she's back in a really convoluted, silly way with a Danny DeVito cameo, and wants revenge on Beetlejuice. I'm not against a backstory for the Juice, and I don't have a problem with it specifically, but the thing is, they do nothing with this plotline. There's no reason it needs to be there, because it's pretty much 5 minutes of screen time and is resolved in a really questionable, weak way. At Beetlejuice's second attempted wedding of Lydia, she shows up in a character I can't remember if it even was a character, or does the sandworm just show up? Well, a sandworm shows up and eats her, kind of like the sandworm showed up and ate Beetlejuice. But for some reason, this kills her, I guess. But Beetlejuice survived in the first one, so I don't know. Why does she die? It's weird and kind of pointless because, like I said, that plot line was maybe 5 minutes. I'm kind of jumping all over the place, but I thought Defoe's character, an actor turned undead investigator, was pretty weak too. Yeah, he's a side character, but the plotline was pretty much pointless. He did nothing of value but be behind the trail of all the characters and get frozen the second Beetlejuice snaps his fingers. Beetlejuice is more powerful than him. I mean, what's the point? It's like I said earlier, way too many characters, not enough time to develop. The first one had just a small amount of character, well, a decent amount of characters, but the time was dedicated to them simply to bring them up. It was the Maitlands. Beetlejuice was kind of just a side character, and it was Lydia and her family dynamic. That was like the main plot line. In this, we have Lydia and her family dynamic, Astrid and her love interest, Beetlejuice and his ex-wife. It's just too many things to juggle for this type of movie, in my opinion. I also found Astrid's story pretty weak. Like I said, she falls in love with a dead guy, and I kind of figured that out the second he showed her his parents and they didn't turn around. And he's also, like, not leaving. I figured that was pretty sus. It's also kind of dumb she just willingly went along with a dead guy because she wanted to see her dad. And she randomly did as well, and that plot line, while kind of sweet, was a little pointless too. Delia Dietz also dies a silly way. She gets bit by asps that were supposed to be defanged after trying to perform a ritual to bring back her husband or something, I guess. And at the end, they do a wedding again as Lydia has to again call Beetlejuice to help save her daughter. Similar as the first, just different characters. Instead of saving the Maitlands, she's saving her daughter. I wish they thought of something more creative, like when Astrid doesn't believe Lydia about Beetlejuice earlier in the movie, she says his name twice. I think it would have been a little more interesting if Astrid unleashed Beetlejuice and caused chaos. The songs in this didn't hit as well to me as the first movie. Those were so iconic and those scenes were so funny. This one, I thought the wedding scene dragged on and was just almost, we can do stuff like the first one, but today, I don't know, I just didn't care for it too much. There was also a plotline about a second death with the soul sucker ex-wife that I wish they went into more detail with. But they did nothing with it at all. They just mentioned a death after death, and that could have also been a more interesting premise for the movie. What happens if you die again? I really wanted to like this film. I had little expectation going in. I was kind of getting excited as the release date came closer and closer, and especially after watching the first one, I said, okay, if Keaton's coming back, if Tim Burton's got some good ideas, this will at least be good, right? And don't get me wrong, it's not a bad film. It's just a film that I didn't like. It had the art, but it lacked the energy and charm of the original. I might give it another chance, but as of now, I have no plans to see it again. Maybe when it's on streaming. I hope others can enjoy it, and I think they have. And you may enjoy it if you like or love the original. Well, that's my review. Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed my video, please give it a like, subscribe to my channel, and let me know what you thought of Beetlejuice Beetlejuice. If you agree with me or disagree with my opinion of the movie. Either way, let me know in the comment section down below.
Thanks again, and we'll see you next time here in the junkyard.
Nice fucking model!